I'm Will, I'm the baldbookgeek, and you guys may have seen a little discussion that I did called Problematic Books. A discussion. As I'm filming this, I'm interested in what your reaction has been, so I decided to do a list of my top 5 problematic books that I love. These are books that have caused controversy, that people have tried to ban them, people have some of them for very silly reasons, and I decided to get this list and make it as accurate as possible. I went through my own book collection, then I went through like forums and sort of this somewhat SJW side of the stratosphere, which was quite terrifying, demanding freedom yet demanding censorship in the same connotation can sometimes does not make any sense. But anyway, so I intentionally picked books that I really love, and there were loads on this list, tons of classics, tons which really made my skin crawl. I hated these lists that people were making of books they don't want to read or their children shouldn't be reading because they're problematic. Some amazing books, and yes, I do get it. Books like 120 Days of Sodom are going to be controversial, and I decided to base this list on books that I adore. And I just went through my collection and picked out the reasons that people consider them problematic and went for it. So these are books that I love that are problematic, so let's go. Catcher in the Rye. This book it's on banned book lists, schools have tried to get it out of the curriculum, especially in the United States. Here it's not taught in school, it's not a school book in England. And I will agree that it's probably not the most well-written book on the planet, but it's an interesting story and it's a great footnote. Books, it's one of the first mainstream first-person narrative novels, or novellas. And the reason this book is considered problematic is the main character, who I dislike. That's part of the reason that he's problematic, because the main character is unlikable. He shows no respect to his elders. He does things that are deemed inappropriate for a boy of his age. It's a book, and we've all done shit like this. As a teenager, this is my teenage self in a really frightening way. Also, the homoerotic undertones of this book. That's something else that brought up. Although I've read this book many times in my life, and I've never picked up any homoerotic undertones. Definitely great for reading. Definitely a fantastic book. I think this is a book you should try at least once. You're either going to love it or you hate it. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. One of my favourite dystopian novels ever written. Just saying that. This is true adult dystopia. Why is this book considered problematic? It is considered problematic because of sexual violence, suppression of women's rights, sexism. Its portrayal of religion, its portrayal of the conservative right, its portrayal of the dumpster fire that is American politics and where it's heading. This book is fantastic and beautiful and poignant and shocking, and one book that you really, really need to read. And as soon as you can read it, because it is a phenomenal book, and I cannot tell you how phenomenal it is. Here's Dark Materials Trilogy by Philip Pullman. Northern Lights, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. I'm cheating because I count this as one book. I'm just saying, I count this as one book. I adore these, and the American editions do suffer from censorship, although now you can get the proper versions in America too. They are censored and lines are changed. These are beautiful. They're epic fantasy, but in a very beautiful way. They portray Oxford, Lyra, her demon, the characters, the story, the dust. It's beautiful. I love Philip Pullman. He's one of my sort of top 10 writers of all time, and I've had the great pleasure of hearing this man speak, and he is mind-blowing. Why are these books considered problematic? The messages of anti-religion, anti-authoritism. That's another thing that pops up. These books are very anti-organised religion. Although, contrary to popular belief, they're not anti-religion, they're anti-organised religion. These books are phenomenally beautiful written. It deals with the mind-washing of religious people, where they are so blind that they cannot see outside of their own beliefs. It deals with sex. There's a little bit of sex in this, her sexual awakening at the end, where she feels something inside her, and what I will say, where she becomes a woman. And I will say that is censored in the American edition. These books have been tried to be banned many times. The Catholic Church hate them. Do not let anyone ban these books. The His Dark Materials trilogy is beautiful, and it deals with themes that some people don't like. Seriously. Perks of Being a Wallflower. I love this book. It's one of my favourite novels. It's all written in the forms of letters, and they all start with the lines, "Dear friend," and it's about a boy named Charlie. This book is beautiful, it's touching, it's a book about a genuinely nice person who isn't bogged down with everything. He is genuinely really nice. Why is this book considered problematic? Because it deals with sexual abuse, PTSD, drugs, alcohol, the teenage experience in a real and honest way from the perspective of someone who has had something horrific happen to him. This book, people have tried to ban it. There are countless forums saying this book is evil. And honestly, this is one of the most touching and thought-provoking books you can read, especially in the teenage YA genre, or YA readership. YA is not a genre. It's beautiful, and I can agree this can be difficult reading, but it deals with all of these issues in a beautiful way, including the abuse. It deals with it in a very human way. Finally, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. How beautiful is this edition, by the way? Thank you, Vintage. This is my favourite book. This book is a courtroom drama, but also a coming-of-age story about a young girl named Scout growing up in 1930s Deep South America. In the Deep South of America, I should say. It's a gorgeous book. There is no way around this. This book has also many attempts to ban it, and we're going to go into why this forum and this place were moaning about it, considering it problematic. It uses coarse and inappropriate language. Yes, it uses language reflective of 1930s America, when racism was a real deal and we maybe weren't as educated as we are now. Although the irony is, there are plenty of places that still think this stuff, which is shocking into itself. We haven't learnt many lessons yet. Racism. The way it portrays people, the fact that there is a black maid, the fact that this book deals with racism, it doesn't have a happy ending, and the fact that, there are religious groups that burn this book. And it shocks me that these books make these lists. And I'm going to just continue and say that there were so many books that I love on these lists. Wuthering Heights was on it, Emma, Jane Austen, countless classics. The Great Gatsby was on this list, and it was all for really stupid reasons. A lot of them very uneducated or very, very, come from a very dark place. You cannot censor history. You cannot censor how we spoke or how we fought in 1700s or the 1900s or the 1930s. You cannot censor that. You cannot change it. You cannot rewrite your own history. And I think people often get uncomfortable when they're confronted by their own history. And they're confronted by things that they've done, things that we've done, and things that make them uncomfortable. The word problematic is a get-out clause for people who are unwilling to confront the issue in front of them. So, tell me what you think. What are your problematic books that you love? And I hate the word problematic with a passion. The word problematic is a sign of the uneducated, in my opinion. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.